This is a demo of a tool I wrote that lets you query OpenStreetMap data near an aircraft track or a ship path or any user-supplied geometry. You can load GeoJSON or KML files, and I have 4 examples I'm going to show you in this demo. First, I have a KML file with a track of a Chinese high-altitude balloon as it crossed the United States in early 2023. This KML was graciously provided by Tie-Dye Intel and the Intel Frog, and it's an approximate track, but it will work well enough for this demo. Now that I've loaded the track, I want to see all the military facilities it passed over. So first I'm going to set the search radius 10,000 meters or 10 kilometers. Then I enter the filter, land use equals military, and I click on search. The filter language is similar to Overpass Turbo, if you've used that before, and uses OpenStreetMap tags. I entered land use equals military, which is how OpenStreetMap tags an area that is, quote, used for any military purpose. Okay, the search is completed. We found 15 matching features. I've implemented a simple heuristic for interestingness, which is what the score column here is. And at the top of the list is Whiteman Air Force Base, although it's misspelled because it's OpenStreetMap, I guess. Whiteman is the home of the B-2 bomber, and that got at least one senator pretty worked up. I can click on it, zoom in, take a look, see how close it got to the balloon. But remember, this path is a rough approximation with accuracy that's probably worse than 10 kilometers. What else is on the list? We've got some National Guard facilities, a couple of those. We've also got, this is a Canadian Veterans Hall. Definitely a high value target. Back when this happened, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said the balloon flew a route that took it past ballistic missile fields. So let's find missile silos that it flew near. I'm going to expand the search radius to 150,000 meters or 150 kilometers. I'm going to change the filter. Because most launch facilities are not tagged in a distinctive way in OpenStreetMap, I'm just going to search for things that are named launch facility or facilities. And we'll do that search. So with a considerably expanded search radius, the search still doesn't take very long. Okay, so we found a couple hundred missile silos that it flew near. These are missile fields in Montana, Nebraska, and Kansas. I can click on one to take a closer look. So a lot of these are inactive. Let's go to one of these that might be active. All right, yeah, we can zoom in, click on this polygon to see the OpenStreetMap tags. I can get aerial imagery if I'm interested in that. And if I want the really good high-res Google aerial imagery, I can get that too. Next up is the NewNew Polar Bear, a cargo ship with a cute name that has had some bad luck and dragged its anchor across an undersea pipeline and also happened to be near 2 other communications cables at the exact time they were damaged. A friend gave me a GeoJSON file containing its track from a sailing in early October, which I've loaded. And now I'm going to search for undersea infrastructure that it sailed near. This time I'm going to cast a wide net and look for anything that is either tagged as having location equals underwater or is a submarine cable, CMark type equals cable submarine, or has a submarine equals yes tag. And I'm going to change the search radius to 0 because I'm only interested in things that the ship's track actually crossed. Do that search. Okay, we get 15 results. We've got Nord Stream 1 and 2. Those are pretty well known. This one is the Baltic Connector. This is the gas pipeline that this ship is suspected of damaging with its anchor. There's a few other items in the list that I don't think this ship damaged, but the other 2 communications cables it is suspected of being involved in the damaging of are EES1 and another cable I could never track down the name of. EES1, I forget where it is, but it doesn't show up in OpenStreetMap data. So I guess this is also a demonstration that not everything is in OpenStreetMap. Number 3 in the demo is Delta Flight 89. That was a flight which took off from LAX in January 2020 on its way to Shanghai, but it immediately started having engine trouble and turned around to land back at LAX. And then, for some reason, instead of dumping fuel out over the ocean or at high altitude, they waited until they were at low altitude over Los Angeles. For this one, I'm going to set the search radius to be 2,000 meters or 2 kilometers. And then I'm going to look for schools. Where's a place where people might have been outside when this thing flew over? Check schools. Amenity equals school. And since the aircraft didn't start dumping fuel until it was kind of on its final approach to LAX, I'm going to zoom the map to that portion. I'm going to click the only search map view option and then do the search. Okay, so we get 384 schools and the approximate potential footprint of the fuel dump. And in fact, several of these schools had students that were affected. Worst hit was Park Avenue Elementary. They had 20 children and 11 adults treated for exposure to jet fuel, and you can see it went right directly over the school. Tweedy Elementary had 6 people. San Gabriel Elementary, that they had 6. That was very close. Graham Elementary had 1. Jordan High School. Where's that? Jordan High School. And 93rd Elementary had 16 children and 3 adults treated. So, if a plane flies low over you and you feel rain, maybe give it a sniff to make sure. So far, I've demonstrated queries based on tracks or lines, but MUNDUS doesn't really care what kind of geometry you're uploading, and you'll see that in this last demo. Recently, someone leaked data containing the locations of every ShotSpotter listening station. ShotSpotter is a microphone system that is supposed to listen for gunshots and then report the location to the police. As you can imagine, it causes some controversy. There's a recent Wired article about the leak that gets into some of it. So anyway, my friend Ian put this data in a nice format, and I converted it to GeoJSON. So here it is. There are dense clusters of these things in the cities that use them. I'm going to zoom in on the San Francisco Bay Area, specifically San Francisco, Oakland, and Berkeley. And it seems like most of the ShotSpotter stations are on streetlights and traffic lights, but I've also seen a bunch on private buildings, fire stations, and even elementary schools. I'm going to see if there are any churches that have them on their property. So I'm going to set the search radius to 0 because I'm only interested in microphones that are on the church property or buildings. And I'm checking the only search map view box to restrict the search to just the area shown. And then I want anything tagged with amenity equals place of worship or building equals church. And let's do the search. Okay, we get 4 results. Looks like 3 in San Francisco and 1 in Oakland. Let's see if we can confirm where the microphones are located. This is Wetmore Chapel. Let's zoom way in here. Look at the aerial imagery. I don't see anything obvious. Let's go to map, go to street view. Yep, that's it. That's what they look like. So that's definitely on that church. And then let's go to Christ for All Nations Lutheran Church. Okay, let's look at the aerial imagery of that. Oops, I didn't see anything obvious there. Oh yeah, that's it. That's what they look like. So yeah, these churches are listening to the neighborhood. So that's the current state of the MUNDUS tool. It started as an experiment after a couple of people on Twitter talked about the idea of being able to query OpenStreetMap data along a path, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. So I made this prototype mostly as an attempt to exercise the idea from my brain. I think it's probably useful, but It's also not particularly cheap to run a system that can query planet scale data quickly, so it's not the kind of thing I can just put on a server and let people play with for free. I do enough of that. It's fun, so I may keep working on it for myself, but other than that, it may just stay a prototype.